Hello, my name is Deborah Kitko. I'm the genealogy librarian here with the Wayne County Public Library. Today we're going to continue our little two-part series on using online resources, looking primarily at Rutherford B. Hayes' website. And the part two of this focus is going to be on using R.B. Hayes and how you can use the information found through the R.B. Hayes website with our own department's website, as well as our historical newspapers that you may now find online that are searchable. So hopefully you enjoy this series. Utilizing online resources, part two. Today we're going to take a look at the Rutherford B. Hayes Obituary Index and how you can use the information found within this index to direct you to other resources. Primarily, we're going to take a look at the Wayne County, Ohio Historical Newspaper Project, as well as briefly at our department's website. Just as a reminder, with the Rutherford B. Hayes, our library has submitted information on there that includes more than just obituaries. We do have obituaries that were published in our newspapers from 1822 through about 2016. We have grave registration cards. These cover just the veterans only. This is part of a WPA project back in the 1930s. We have the Wayne County, Ohio burial records, the 1975 edition, probate court records from 1812 to 1900, and then the Wayne County, Ohio death records from 1867 to 1908. Once again, these are all sites, all sources indexed through the Rutherford B. Hayes Obituary Index. As you can see, a lot more than just obituaries. We're going to visit R.B. Hayes' website, and we are going to do a search on John Balzly, B-A-L-T-Z-L-Y. He's going to be the subject of today's talk. We do a search and we find that there are 3 of them listed within the R.B. Hayes Obituary Index. One which died in 1859, and then 2 that died much later, 1954 and 1907. The one we are going to take a look at is the one that was actually in Shanesville, Tuscarawas County, which is his place of death, and he actually died on October 15th, 1859. And you may ask, well, this is the Wayne County Library, so why are we going to take a look at John Boxley? Well, just hold on and we'll wait and see how things turn out here. If you click on John Boxley, you'll see that there's a newspaper source known as the Worcester Republican on November 10th, 1859, on page 3 of this particular newspaper. Using this information, before we go to our online newspapers, I'm going to show you another quick resource that's available through our department's website. If you go onto our genealogy portal, you'll see underneath topics in genealogy, you'll see like birth, census, court, death, ethnicity, etc. The one that we're going to pay attention to is death. If you click on that, you're going to come up with an index. And we are interested in the early obituary abstracts. And you click on that, and you'll come up with a listing from starting with A's, with the surnames beginning with A's, with the surnames beginning with B's, etc. Remember, our subject of today's search is going to be John Boxley. So you'll see that there are 2 Boxley family members listed underneath these obituary abstracts. Now, just a notation, where did this come from? Back when we were at the old facility located at 304 North Market Street, we had a card catalog. And within the card catalog, we had several index cards, several indexes. One of the indexes was to the early obituary abstracts of our local newspapers. Before we moved here to the new facility in 2007, I took the opportunity to actually type in all the information because I was planning to put it on our website and also to include it as a link through R.B. Hayes. So I actually typed in the information onto a Word document, and I was actually partially fearful that during the move we may accidentally lose track of where the obituary index cards were, or they may have come up missing, which is another reason why I actually did the Word document including this information. So you see that there are 2, Ida Keller Boxley, who was the oldest child of Reverend J.B. and Elmira Brandt Boxley. And you'll also see John Boxley, the one of our topic today, died in 1859. And you see that this John Boxley was the father of Reverend J.B. Boxley here in Worcester. So there's a clue. Although John Boxley died near Shanesville in Tuscarawas County, he still had family living over here in Wayne County, Worcester area, being Reverend J.B. Balzly. And of course, his son probably decided to put a piece of newspaper clipping or some type of publication, obituary, death notice within our local newspaper. So you have John Boxley here, although dying in Shanesville, he is listed in our paper. You also notice under John Boxley, there's a note that there's an obituary. So you have a basic idea. This is giving you a little bit more information than what R.B. Hayes provided. This one, it gives that his specific age was 70 years, 6 months, and 1 day. It also says that he was born in Pennsylvania near Carlisle and that he came to Ohio in 1807 and that who his father was, or that he was the father of J.B. Boxley, who was a Lutheran clergyman. So you're picking up quite a few clues within just this little abstract found on our department's website. We're going to go back to our genealogy portal, though. We're going to go to an outside company that's actually hosting our newspapers. And you'll want to go down on our portal on the left-hand side. There's something called Department Services. And underneath Department Services, there's databases. And underneath databases, you'll see local newspapers. And under local newspapers, you see the Daily Record, which is basically the more recent issues of the Daily Record. You'll see historical newspapers. You'll see also Wayne County Democrat, the Daily News, and the Daily Republican, and the years of coverage. The one that we're going to focus on today is the historical newspapers of Wayne County, Ohio. You click on that, and that's going to take you to the Community History Archive of the Wayne County Public Library. Now, you can actually do a search for John Boxley on here. I did a search, and I was unable to find him through the keyword search here. I tried all of the words. I tried searching the exact phrase. I tried different variations, and nothing came up. But I do know between Rutherford B. Hayes' website and the obituary abstract that there is an obituary in the Worcester Republican on November 10th, 1859 on page 3. So I'm going to go about using this resource by browsing by title, and also by year. So I can actually go in and choose the year, which is 1859, and I can choose the month and the day of the paper I'm interested in. And you can choose this. It's like a little counter that pops up. And if you do the right arrows, it goes December like 1859, January 1860, etc. If you use the back arrow, it's going to be in like October 59, September, October 59, etc. And those numbers that are highlighted, the 3rd, 10th, 17th, and 24th of November, indicates that there is a paper on file for this particular newspaper on those particular days. So we're going to go into November 10th, 1859, and we know that his obituary is on page 3. So we're pulling up. We didn't really do a search, but you'll see that there's a bunch of gibberish on this page. Don't be alarmed by that. A lot of times when you're using early newspapers, they're not manually going through and typing in everything you see in the newspapers. They're using something called optical character resolution. So they're using the computer to generate the keyword searching capabilities. And a lot of times with these early newspapers, if the letters are not clear, if they're not perfectly made, OCR does not pick them up exactly. So you see here for November 10th, 1859, just from this abstract, there's not a whole lot of words you can make out, which is probably why when I did the search on the John Boxley, nothing actually ever appeared. But don't be alarmed by this, because if you actually click on the date, then it's going to take you to the actual digitized copy of the newspaper, and there you can find a clear image of the newspaper. And we're going to zoom in, and here underneath the death records on page 3, there's an entry for John Boxley. And this screen, we're going to just take a look at the first half, which covers the genealogy aspect of his life. So according to this death notice in the newspaper found in the Worcester Republican, it shows that he died on October 13th, 1859, near Shanesville, Tuscarawas County, Ohio. He was aged 70 years, 6 months, and 1 day. This information you did get from the wiki. He was born near Carlisle, Pennsylvania. This continues to say that he was baptized as an infant, and he assumed the vows and united with the German Reformed Church at 17 years old. So you're having some information here that you can actually lead you to other resources. We know that he came to Ohio in 1807, and he resided in the same township for 53 years. So I don't think he ever stepped foot here in Wayne County unless he happened to be visiting his son at some point. We also know from this death information that he was married to a Miss Elizabeth Baker when he was age 30 years old, and they raised 8 children to adulthood. One of these children would be Reverend J.B. Balzly of Worcester, Ohio, who at this time was a Lutheran clergyman. We also know that Elizabeth Baker Boxley, his wife, passed away some 9 years ago. So this is 1859, so we know that she must have died about 1850, give or take. We also find here that he married a Mrs. M. Walker in 1857. Now, when you see a Mrs. in front of that, that's going to give you a clue that this Mrs. M. Walker was probably a widow or was at least previously married. So that's another clue that you want to pick up in this death notice. You look at the second paragraph, the second large paragraph here, and you see his community involvement. So you see that he was very successful in a business. He made donations to a church. He even made a donation of $300 to the Heidelberg College. So you want to research, well, what connection does he have with Heidelberg College? So you may want to look and see if maybe one of his kids actually attended Heidelberg College. Maybe his son, who's the Reverend J.B. Boxley, maybe he attended Heidelberg College. You do not know, but you'll want to follow through on this. It also shows that John Boxley fell ill and had a feeling of his oncoming sickness. And he was sick for about 9 days before he finally passed away. If you scroll down a little bit more to the bottom part, you'll notice there's something that says Navarre, October 17th, 1859. This is in reference that the original obituary was probably found in the Navarre newspaper around that time period. So let's summarize based on this death record what you have. So the information given is that we know that he died October 13th, 1859. He was 70 years, 6 months, and 1 day. So you have an exact date of death, and you have the exact age. So you can use a birthday calculator, which you can find online, to calculate his actual birth date, which once you plug it in, you'll see that his date of birth was April 12, 1789, give or take a day, depending on if it's using 30-day calendar or 31-day calendar. You can also, knowing that he died in 1859, you can see if you can find a record, a picture of his tombstone or some other record on Find a Grave. You can try Billion Graves also. These are 2 freely available websites. Billion Graves, there's also a subscription part of it, but you can actually search free and have some basic information on that website. We also know that he was born in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And of course, remember that genealogy records are usually kept at the county level. So Carlisle is actually in Cumberland County, Pennsylvania. So and he was baptized as an infant. So you're going to want to look for a church baptismal record for John Boxley. This is one example of a birthday calculator that genealogists use. This is through the Long Island Genealogy website. And you'll see here, you just type in the date of death and the age of days and years, and you just do compute. And it comes up with the date of birth being estimated April 12, 1789. If you go on Find a Grave, you'll see here that you're getting more information. This is showing that his middle name is John Everett Boxley II, which gives you a clue right there. It shows you that his birth date is April 12, 1789, and he was born in Carlisle, Cumberland County, Pennsylvania. You can also see, if you can zoom in on this image, that his exact birth date and death date, I think, are actually given on his tombstone. So it shows that he's buried there at Shanesville First Reformed Cemetery, there in Shanesville in Tuscarawas County. Excuse me. You'll also get some other information. There's a little bit of a paragraph here that mentions that John married Elizabeth Baker on April 12, 1819 in Dover, Ohio. Dover is once again in Tuscarawas County. And this union produced 8 known children. And then after Elizabeth died, he remarried a Margaret Walker. Remember from the obituary it said Mrs. M. Walker? Well, you now know that M represents Margaret. And it gives the date of marriage, which is May 5th, 1857. And at the time of their marriage, John was 68 and his bride was 59. If you continue looking at this website, you'll find a lot of other information. You'll find that the parents are given as John Boxley and Lucinda Clapper Boxley, and it gives their dates as well. You'll see the first spouse of Elizabeth Baker Boxley as well as the second one, Margaret Boxley, and it gives their information. It gives at least 4 of the children, but remember they had 8 children, so this is an incomplete record. This is only including 4 of the 8 children at this point. But you do find other siblings of John Everett Boxley. And you notice that each one of these are in blue, which means that there's a hyperlink. So you can click on any one of these, and there's going to be another record or more detailed record of them on Find a Grave. So you can actually maybe go back several more generations and even go forward several generations just by using Find a Grave. So we know that John Boxley was born April 12, 1789 in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, born to John and Lucinda Clapper, and this is coming from the grave memorial from Find a Grave, 753-12502. And you also know that he was baptized as an infant, so you're going to want to look at churches in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Now, at this point, we did not know for sure which denomination he may have been affiliated with, so you may have to do some hunting around to find which church he may have been baptized as an infant. But you can also use Google Books, Heritage Quest Online, Family Search Books, Hathy Trust, Internet Archive, a lot of other resources, and you can very well find a county history of Cumberland County free of charge that you can actually download or just read there online and see what churches may have been around that vicinity. And you also know that he was, at age 17, he was baptized and united with the German Reformed Church. So he also had an adult baptism at this point. So you're going to want to look for a German Reformed Church there in Carlisle. And once again, you can use the county histories to help out in this endeavor. We know that he came to Shanesville, Tuscarawas County in 1807. So you may want to look at tax records and or land deeds through Family Search. We know that John married Elizabeth Baker in 1819 in Dover, so you may want to look Family Search to verify this information. And sure enough, when you do on Family Search, you do find a marriage record here. It doesn't give much information, but at least it's confirming the information that was given on Find a Grave. We also know that they had 8 children, so you want to verify this information posted on Find a Grave as well as in the obituary through such resources as Family Search, Ancestry, online newspapers, etc. So you may want to look at U.S. Census records, you may want to look at probate court records, land deeds, newspaper clippings, obituaries for these kids, vital records, and other documents of the children. John left a will and estate when he passed away, and so the digitized copies of these records are available on Family Search as well as Ancestry. And keep in mind right now, because of the pandemic, Ancestry Library Edition is available for you free of charge from home with a valid library card with our organization. You just have to go through Ancestry through our department's website or through the Wayne County Public Library's website so you can get access to it. You don't want to type in Ancestry.com because we do not have access to Ancestry.com. It's Ancestry Library Edition that you want. Or you can always search Family Search free of charge. You just need a valid login, a valid email in order to sign in for that. So this is an image I gathered from Ancestry Library Edition, and this is showing one page of the will. And here's the next couple pages. And here's, pages 4 and 5, and here's a 6th page to the will of John Boxley. So you're getting a lot more information. We also know that Mrs. Elizabeth Baker died sometime 9 years ago. Find a Grave indicates she died October 31st, 1850, and was the daughter of Philip Baker. And once again, this is saying that Elizabeth was married to John Boxley. They're in Dover, Ohio. And once again, it's saying produced 8 known children. This may have been submitted by the same individual, although you do have a separate memorial ID of 753-14470. You can view that source to see who may have posted this information. The obituary indicates that John Boxley married a Mrs. M. Walker in 1857. So remember, it says Mrs. M. Walker, so this is going to give you a clue that she was probably previously married prior to her marriage to John Boxley. Find a Grave indicates that he married Mary Walker on May 5th, 1857. So once again, you can use Family Search and you can pull up the record. And you'll see here from the record that there is no Mrs. in front. It just says that he was united with Margaret Walker. So once again, this obituary abstract gave you a little bit of information than what you find through the actual record. But if you look on Find a Grave here, you'll notice that Ohio County death records indicate that she died of a heart problem. And the date of birth on Find a Grave is given as September 28, 1797, which is actually probably calculated from her birth year, but I think it also indicates specific date of birth on her tombstone as well. On the side of the monument, it states mother and father, and she is next to a Silas Walker's headstone. So keep this in mind. This is in Section A, Row 5. It starts in their section of Row 5 in terms of Silas Walker, Margaret Balzly, Charlie S. Walker, and Samuel P. Walker, with his wife Marianne Garver Walker Travis. We do know that Margaret Walker married John Boxley in 1857. He died in 1859. He's buried there in Janesville Reformed Cemetery in Sugar Creek, Ohio. And there's a note saying that to the descendants of Silas and Margaret Walker, I would like to hear from you, especially if you request a transfer. But you'll also see, that from the obituary it says Mrs. M. Walker. Her first name is Margaret through the actual marriage record, as well as to Find a Grave. And she's buried next to a Silas Walker. So this is a pretty good clue that Silas Walker is probably her first husband. He knows that he died in 1842. And so she was a widow for many years before she remarried to John Boxley in 57. But you'd want to, follow up on Silas and see if you can verify this connection between those two. And it's important a lot of times to visit the cemetery to see who's all buried near each other, which in that vicinity, because a lot of times you'd have a family plot. A lot of times, such as in the Wayne County burial records, we have them listed in alphabetical order, which is easy to find them in the book. However, the disadvantage is that you now lose that historical context. You do not have them as groupings within that cemetery. So by making a trip out to the cemetery, it may help you actually pinpoint some other relatives, some other ancestors that may be connected with the family. So in summary, the Rutherford B. Hayes Obituary Index can serve as a great resource. You can use it as a standalone unit, or you can use it with other resources. So you can actually try to contact our library if need be through our website, genealogy, or through our email, genealogy@wcpl.info, and that's genealogy@wcpl.info. You can contact me directly. My name is Deborah Kitko, D-Kitko, or D-K-I-T-K-O @wcpl.info. You can also contact our department at 330-262-0916, extension 4670, or if you want to contact me directly, my extension is 4715. But you can also use the R.B. Hayes in connection with Find a Grave, Billion Graves, Family Search, as well as Ancestry. You can also use this as a pivotal point to look at county histories, etc. So I'm hoping that this gives you a little bit more insight in terms of how you can use R.B. Hayes to your advantage and do a lot of researching from home, especially since our department is still not open to the public at this time. So once again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact our department. I hope you have enjoyed this series and hope you have gained a lot of good information. So until next time, happy ancestor hunting. Talk to you later.